All right, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday, happy last day of February, and thank you so much for joining us. We will grant a few minutes grace to allow folks to join who might be trying to get on with the link today. But while we are waiting for a couple of minutes, if you would be so kind as to register your attendance. In the Q&A chat area, we would like for you to include your name, your organization, your email, and your phone number, just so we'll have can keep track of who is joining us here today. Looks like our attendee number is continuing to climb, so we'll give it another minute. But if you are on today, please in the Q&A section of the chat, if you would be so kind as to enter your name, organization, email, and phone number. I'll give it one more minute. A couple more people joining. And Jen, if you're ready, I think we'll move forward. So Meredith, you can advance the slides. This is our agenda today. So Jen will be covering a little bit about the program background and what brought us here today. Then we'll shift to the how. We'll talk about the elements of the program that we're seeking through our request for qualifications, the desired outcomes, who we are seeking responses from, a little bit about the budget. We'll go over the minority women-owned business enterprise goals and a little bit of an overview about that area of the application and the evaluation criteria and important dates. And we'll end, most importantly, with your questions and our responses today. Next slide. Is this me or you, Jen? I think I might be.
Yep, I think I can take it away.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Did we have a slide on meeting logistics so that we could give folks some guidance?
We did. It should have been before the agenda, I thought.
If not, I can just go over them. I'm not seeing the slide, but we do have a few logistics we would like for you to know about this afternoon, and then I'll turn it over to Jen. This is a Teams live event. We are recording the event. If you're having any kind of technical issues, we do suggest that you leave the meeting and simply try re-entering it. I think we do have an email address that we can give to you if you're having any challenges. As an attendee, if you're one of our 35 attendees and growing that we have on with us today, please know that you are on mute. You will have the ability to post your questions in the Q&A section, question and answer section of the chat, and we will encourage you all throughout the presentation to go ahead and be putting your questions in that chat function. We will be answering questions at the end of the presentation today. All questions and answers, including those we get today and those that we are getting through email, will be answered in the addendum and made available on March the 11th. And we'll also be putting links to the RFQ and some other supporting documents in the chat as we go through the presentation today. And with those meeting logistics covered, I'll turn it over to you, Jen.
Great, thank you very much. And good afternoon, everyone. I am Jen Morris. I'm the Executive Director for Denver Economic Development and Opportunity. And thank you for joining us and learning more about this, I'm going to call incredible, unprecedented and game-changing opportunity we have in Denver to support our most under-resourced small business owners and entrepreneurs. So a little bit about our agency. Here at Denver Economic Development and Opportunity, our mission is to ensure an inclusive and innovative economy for all Denver residents, business, and neighborhoods. And we're working together with our partners to create an economy that works for everyone. With this mission and our commitment to lead with equity with all that we do, we are creating this brand new small business investment fund program that we're here today to discuss. The next slide. Thanks to the vision of our mayor, Michael B. Hancock, and his commitment to equity, we're introducing this program as just one of our tools for an equitable economic recovery. Over the last several months, we have heard from the community and specifically from minority-owned small businesses that access to capital and technical assistance are critically needed for them to survive, grow, and thrive in Denver. This program is being developed to level the playing field for small businesses in Denver, not only because the pandemic has disproportionately affected certain business sectors and otherwise under-resourced businesses, but also because historically, Denver's prosperity has not been spread equally across the business community. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to give a very high-level overview of the program. This new Small Business Investment Fund program is funded by 1% of Denver's annual cannabis sales tax revenue. This budget appropriation, this 1% per year, is subject to an annual approval by City Council. But the mayor has made a $50 million commitment to the program. And for year one, which is 2022, where we are now, we expect a little over $5 million to be spent on this program. With this request for qualifications, we're seeking a potential partner or set of partners. So hopefully some of you on this call who can creatively deliver capital to Denver's small businesses as well as culturally relevant technical supportive services. While this program legally needs to be made available to all qualified small business owners in Denver and entrepreneurs, our goal is to really have the program designed so it better serves our BIPOC and other traditionally under-resourced business owners and entrepreneurs. This program can have elements like loans, grants, and equity investment, but most importantly, it should also include those complementary business wraparound services for our businesses receiving funding. So that's the program on a very high level. I have a whole team here today to talk through the specifics of the program and what we're looking for and answer your questions. So with that, right now I'm going to toss it back to Deborah Cameron, our Chief Business Development Officer, to provide more details. And I just wanted to say thank you all for your interest and for being here today. We're really looking forward to partnering with you.
Thanks, Jen. So let's dive into the weeds a little bit and talk about what we're really hoping to do. We're seeking a partner who can deliver on these elements. A partner who can increase investment in entrepreneurs and in Denver small businesses, particularly those who we know have traditionally faced barriers to accessing capital. Equally important to getting the capital deployed will be the ability of a partner to deliver and/or have partners who can deliver culturally relevant professional and technical services to our small business community. The focus will be to support small businesses and entrepreneurs who are seeking to start, restart, restructure, improve upon, or grow their businesses. And overall, we're seeking to strengthen Denver's economic diversity while providing quality job opportunities, ensuring a pipeline of entrepreneurs and small business startups, and creating generational wealth. Next slide. So really, what are culturally relevant technical services? When we talk about culturally relevant and responsive, we really mean a service provider and a cadre of partners who have the ability to acknowledge and accept that cultural differences exist and they have an impact on the quality of the service delivered. We believe that diversity, when we're seeking partners who believe that diversity within cultures is as important as diversity between cultures. And we are seeking a partner and partners, a cadre of folks who respect the unique, culturally defined needs of various business owners and are able to meet businesses where they're at and deliver services to be able to help them grow. Next slide. So some examples of what we're looking for in technical services providers. When we think about our small businesses in our community, everyone is different and everyone is unique. So we're really looking for providers who can, when we think about that technical assistance support, it's support for marketing, support for accounting services, legal services, business case development, translation services, and really the ability to provide all the services in a way to prepare that business for the establishment or growth of their business and help them secure funding through this program. These services can be provided by either a for-profit or nonprofit partners, and our preference would be to meet businesses where they are and provide customized services to help each individual business advance. Businesses that may apply for the Small Business Investment Program, but may be determined to be unprepared to participate, we do want them to be able to receive this kind of technical assistance so that while they might not be ready at the moment of application, they will get ready through the delivery of these technical assistance and professional services. Next slide. And I think this is Matthew.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah. Hi, everyone. Matthew Carnes, COO and head of finance for Dito. Yeah, thank you for that. Really, what I wanted to do is get a little bit more into kind of the details of the proposal and kind of what we're looking for. Jen had already given you a high level summary of kind of where we stand. I'll go a little bit more into those details before I pass it off to Adrina Gibson. Really what we're looking for, first and foremost, this is a small business investment fund. So we are looking for a partner, a vendor to develop and deploy creative and equitable solutions for businesses looking for funding. So first and foremost, this is hopefully a sustainable and a revolving funding mechanism that will allow us and this partner to provide funding to businesses, whether that's in the form of loans, seed funding and grants, private equity or equity components, a combination of all three, something else creative that we don't really, we're not the experts on, but you all can bring to the table. Really, first and foremost, this is a funding mechanism to provide capital to small businesses and entrepreneurs. And then additionally, developing and deploying innovative solutions to provide those complementary wraparound services that Deborah had mentioned. We heard, I think this is really important, we heard from the community and specifically the small business community a lot that, capital exists. There's still a lack of capital for certain businesses, but equally as important, there is a strong need for some of those wraparound services. And we as the funder, we as the city are willing to put money into all of those areas, be it the capital funding area, but also the technical assistance and some of those wraparound professional services that we've talked about. Next slide, please. And I think this, yep, there you go. So again, we're really looking for partnerships, right? We want one, we may look to contract with multiple partners, but at a minimum, we were hoping to have one vendor that we as Dito, as a city, would contract with, and then they would establish partnerships with some of those technical and wraparound services that we mentioned. Professional services could include marketing, legal, HR, right? The technical assistance that's either done in-house or externally. So we would hold the contract with the main partner. That partner would then go out and find their other partnerships for those services that we mentioned. And again, reiterating that we heard a lot from the community and from the business community specifically, that it's not just about funding, but it's also about some of those professional services and wraparound services that we've mentioned. Okay, next slide. So these are a list of, they are not inclusive or exclusive, just items that we hope to see come out of this contract and out of this agreement. Obviously, when we select an organization and we start negotiating the contract, that's when we will talk about desired outcomes a little bit more. But in general, really as a city, the desired outcomes of this program are multifaceted, right? The basic reporting that we would anticipate coming out of this would be, number of businesses receiving the funding, the average amount and total amount of funds that were deployed over a given period of time, the number of businesses receiving the professional services that we mentioned, total number of applications that have been processed, the number of those applications, the numbers that were successfully funded, income level, revenue, years in business, kind of basic business metrics of who is being funded. And next slide, please. And going down the list, strategic partnerships, basically an inclusive approach for an equitable business support, extensive, innovative, and targeted community outreach and engagement, really trying to reach those entrepreneurs and small businesses that we would like to see apply for this type of funding. And of course, if it's a loan product, right, payback and delinquency metrics. If it's private equity products, you would want to see some pro formas and future payback items within that. Hopefully the outcome, right, is expanded revenue for the businesses or expanded sales, capital infusion, technical assistance, professional services provided, creating a pipeline for the future, the amount of funds leveraged. We do also hope, even though the city, and we'll get into some of the dollar amounts in a minute, but even though the city is putting in these dollars for this partner to help us establish this fund, what we hope is that it is, it gives the opportunity for that partner to also receive additional funds from private or maybe even other government agencies, nonprofits, philanthropic groups, to do something similar or even partner with the amount of money that we're putting in if they feel like this is a program that's really successful, right? So even though we may have upwards of $50 million as our goal as a city to put toward this over, 8-10 years, however long it might take to get to 50 million. We also hope that other funders will see this and kind of jump in, whether as a combination of this program or separately, but do something similar across the city and the region. Next slide. All right, can you go back one slide? Sorry, I think we skipped one. Yep. So and all of this information is in the RFQ documentation that you'll see online, but really eligible respondents, local, regional, or even national organizations, hopefully that have experience in small business lending or investing, and they can bring creative and equitable solutions to us, right? And for the Denver businesses that are looking for funding. They must be registered, whether you're local or national, must be registered with the Colorado Secretary of State to do business in Colorado. The information is there. If you are not registered in Colorado, very simple to do. And then entities that are, debarred, suspended, declared ineligible from participation in the transaction by any federal department or agency are not eligible, and more information on that is available in the RFQ documentation. Also, I should mention that the reviews and the awards are contingent upon respondents being current with the city on any loans or contractual or tax obligations you may have, and other compliance within the rules and regulations of the city in current or existing contracts that you may have with the city. Next slide, please. Okay, and finally, just wanted to reiterate some of the information that Jen had given you earlier. This is funded from city cannabis sales tax revenues, so we essentially are setting aside 1% of our sales tax revenue that came from cannabis sales into this specific program every year. with the hope that it reaches $50 million total. That was the mayor's goal that we set in this past budget. But I should reiterate, this first year, 2022, we just got the funds in January, is $5.2 million available in year one. We anticipate around $5 million or more in the coming years to grow this to $50 million total. I should reiterate that that is contingent upon two things. One is the cannabis sales tax revenues. 1% of those tax revenues doesn't guarantee that we get $5 million. It could be more, it could be a little bit less. And then the other thing I should reiterate is we still need to go through our annual city council budgeting process to officially get approved for and receive those funds. But we do have the anticipation, we have buy-in from the mayor, from city council. We already got approved for the first 5.2 million, and we do anticipate this entire fund hopefully growing to upwards of $50 million over the years. I should also finally point out, before I kick it off to Adrina to speak about the goals participation, that even though we anticipate $50 million total or more of this sustainable fund, we do anticipate this first agreement to be a 5-year total agreement. We anticipate 3 full years and then 2 one-year extended options. And that will be fully determined, during the negotiations after a selection is made with the partner. So again, we anticipate growing upwards of 50 million for the entire program, but this specific RFQ is for a 5-year program that we anticipate. And then if goes well, or coming up on year 3, year 4, that's when we will determine how that additional time period gets established. And more of that information is specifically in the RFQ documentation, but I did want to reiterate that we anticipate for this specific RFQ a 5-year program. And with that, I will kick it off to Adrina. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. That was a lot of good information, and I hope you all were taking notes. As such, I hope you take notes on this piece as well. My name is Adrina Gibson. I am the Director of the Division of Small Business Opportunity, also known as DISBO. And I am here to share information related to Mwbe, also known as Minority Women Business Enterprise Program requirements on this very exciting project. But first, I'd like to provide our governance and foundation to give you a little bit of context. So DISBO is created by executive order, and with that, our governance is through the Denver Revised Municipal Code, also known as the DISBO Ordinance. And that's important to understand because under our governance, our purpose is to promote equity, prevent discrimination, level the playing field, and maximize opportunities for certified small, minority, and women-owned businesses. And so that's what we're going to be talking about here today. Slide, please. We do that through 5 pillars. Certification, we certify those socially and economically disadvantaged businesses. So those certified firms that you'll be going and looking for is under our program area. We also have outreach and strategic development, simply what we're doing here today and the resources we provide back to our small businesses. And then within that, we assess all of the projects that come through the City and County of Denver for small business utilization. And those come in 2 forms. One, a contract goal, which I'm going to talk to you about here in a second, or an SBE defined selection pool. Once we establish a small business utilization requirement to a project like this one, then we conduct contract compliance, and that is simply to ensure that we're assisting and fostering relationships between small businesses and larger contractors, that we are ensuring that they're meeting the terms of their subcontract agreements, that they're getting paid on time, and that they're doing the work that they were contracted to do. And when I say they, certified small businesses. So with regards to that, I've given you some context and some background. Next slide, please. Now to present on our Mwbe goal requirements, I'm going to hand it over to Sam Meza, who is going to be the contract compliance officer on this project. So Sam, take it from here.
Thank you, Adrina. So there is a 10% Mwbe goal that has been established for this project. And you must use MWBE firms certified with the City and County of Denver in the scope of work they will perform. You can find MWBE certified firms at denvergov.org/DISBO. This website is also listed within the RFQ. Please read the MWBE information carefully because each submitter must comply with the requirements and accompanying rules and regulations during the procurement process and during the performance of work on this contract. Next slide. So the submitter shall complete and submit a commitment to MWBE participation form for the participation goal assigned to this project. Also, the Wnbe list of proposed subcontractors, subconsultants, and/or suppliers, which will include the identified certified firms that will be utilized on this project, and then the MWBE utilization plan. The committed participation level will be inserted into the contract, and the submitter must comply therewith during the life of the contract. The commitment form and the Form 1B are both linked in the application portal. Thanks. Back to you, Adrina.
All right, so 3 important pieces there that I just want to reiterate that Sam shared with us that I want to make sure that you listening in do not forget. One is that commitment MWBE participation form, basically showing your commitment to the program and meeting that goal. The second is the form, which is a list of certified small businesses that you intend to work with. We do by no means expect for you to list all certified firms at this point because, again, this is early on in the project. We're looking to see some of the firms that you'll be utilizing. And then third, which I'm getting ready to talk about right now, is the MWBE utilization plan. Because by nature of this project being an RFQ, there are still many elements that are unknown to date, and much of it will be crafted thereafter. So with that, in building out your proposal, we want to also have you start building out how you're going to be utilizing certified small businesses and also integrating nonprofit organizations. Next slide, please. So very important, a draft MWBE utilization plan will be scored and required at the time of submittal. At the time of submittal, a plan will be required. So please begin preparing that while you're preparing your proposal. DISBO's approval of this plan will be required prior to receiving an executed contract. The MWBE utilization plan will essentially describe the submitter proposer's written approach and strategy to the overall administration of your MWBE program, and essentially your commitment to certified MWBE firms. This is like a mini proposal to show us your commitment to utilizing small businesses as part of your team throughout the life of this contract. We are looking for this plan to show your innovation and how you can build a comprehensive, open, and transparent approach to making a significant impact through equity, diversity, and inclusion. Again, this plan the purpose of it is to really show us how you are embedding certified small businesses into your team to facilitate this incredible project. This project is for the community and it should be by the community. So we want to see that in this plan. Again, I understand that many elements of this may be new, and that's what DISBO is here to help with. So if you have any questions, we'll provide you some instruction on that in just a minute. Next slide, please. The MWBE utilization plan elements, I know it's looking pretty small here, will be comprised of 7 different items. 1, MWBE utilization strategies. We want to understand how you're going to increase the participation of certified businesses working on the project. 2, technical assistance and support services. We want to understand what type of support services and resources you're going to provide to the community and to the firms that are even working with you. 3, procurement process, how you are going to be bringing on certified small businesses to assist throughout this process, what you're doing to remove barriers, your level of effort, engagement, so on and so forth. We also have communication and vendor management. So what you're doing to ensure responsive and open correspondence. We want to understand past performance in terms of how you've worked with small minority and women-owned businesses in the past. And then your culture as a institution, and then future initiatives and working with small minority women-owned businesses. So these are your key elements. We give descriptions and examples as to how to respond to those elements. Please definitely dig in and make sure that you address all elements as outlined in the RFQ, because each element will be scored. And then lastly, I just want to reiterate, please be sure to be conscientious and thoughtful and spend time in this area. I know that a lot of this, again, may be new to some of the partners joining us here today, but I want to reassure you that there are certified small businesses out there that this is their expertise, is helping build plans for other contractors and consultants. There's also nonprofits that are well versed in this arena as well. So just begin spending time on this and start working on it now. This is just as important as your overall proposal because the two are woven together. Next slide, please. And with regards to that, consultants, nonprofit organizations, and certified firms, it is strongly encouraged that you begin networking if you haven't already. It's imperative that you begin building those partnerships and coming together as a team to facilitate this incredible opportunity. You will have a list of all of the folks that have RSVP'd to this event today. There's also a list of CDFIs. We have a directory of certified firms. So the resources are at your disposal, and I strongly encourage you to get on the horn or your laptop for 2022 and start sending emails and your capability statement and your interests to one another so that you can partner together. Just a couple of tips for the consultants joining us on the line that are looking to go after this as the prime. Please visit our website to locate certified firms. We will put that link in the chat. Begin engaging now and documenting all of your efforts because that will be taken into account with regards to your plan. Tips for certified firms that are joining us on the line right now: utilize the plan holders list, utilize the RSVP list, reach out to each and every one of those individuals to see how you can team together and work on this project. Begin making introductions and sending those capability statements. And then last but not least, certified businesses, ensure that you are certified in the area that you intend to perform work. If you are not certified in that area and you do not actually do that work, it will not count towards that 10% goal. That is very, very, very important. And then again, important to note, as an element of the Mwbe plan, you will be scored on your level of effort at this very point in time and moving forward. Next slide, please. If there are any questions that you have regarding anything that we shared with you today regarding Mwbe requirements or DISBO or certified small businesses, please, please, please send an email to DitoRFQ@denvergov.org. No question is too small, and there are no such thing as stupid questions. We want to make sure that we ensure your success and that you are a successful offerer. So if you have any questions, please get those in before March 7th so that we can assist. And there's additional information on our website. We have FAQs, certified businesses, everything that you can imagine to get in contact with us. So without further ado, I will now hand it over to Janae.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janae Lewis, and I am a contract administrator with DITO. I am currently responsible for overseeing this RFQ, so I would like to start by giving you some information about the evaluation process. Proposals will be reviewed by an evaluation team comprised of the DITO staff and, if needed, additional evaluators with subject matter expertise. There is a full list of evaluation criteria listed in the RFQ guidelines, which is posted online at the DIDO bidding opportunities page. So make sure to check that information out. All data and information from the proposer must be submitted as described in section 8.6, electronic submission of proposals. Within the RFQ application, no additional information, documents, or inquiries pertaining to the proposal submittal, including email and phone calls, will be considered during the selection process. And finally, the city also expects oral presentations, virtual interviews as part of the evaluation process. Additionally, the city reserves the right to conduct negotiations with one or more proposers. Next slide, please. Now, these are some important dates that we want you to remember, to keep them close to you. The RFQ was released on February 16th. We are here today having the informational session. Any questions that are asked during or after this session will be due by March 7th, 4 p.m. And those questions will need to be sent to the DIDO rfq@denvergov.org email address. And that information, again, is posted on the DIDO bidding opportunities page. An addendum to the RFQ will be released on March 11th. So we will be providing all of those questions, answers to those questions by 4 p.m. on March 11th. Again, that information will be released on the DIDO bidding opportunities page. Completed proposal submissions, the deadline is March 30th, 2022. So all applications will need to be submitted in Zengen by 4 p.m. that day. Evaluations and interviews will take place April, May 2022, and contract negotiations and executions will be around May, June 2022. Next slide, please. How to apply. So proposals will only be accepted electronically via the application portal, which is also known as Zengen. And to access the application, make sure to visit the DIDO Funding Opportunities page. Technical assistance is available for the application system. Next slide, please. All right, it looks like it's time for Q&A. I will turn it over to our moderator for Q&A, Eric, to get us started. Thank you.
Thank you, Janae. I'll go ahead and start at the top of the list and we'll go down from there. I did have a couple questions about the slides. Are we making those available to them as well? Anyone?
Hey,
Yes, we
this
can
is,
make the slides available.
yes, sorry.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, I'll go ahead and move on. This question is, we are a small service disabled veteran, hub zone, and economically disadvantaged woman-owned SBA certified business. Let's see, we are seeking to leverage our certifications for the benefits of all prime and subcontractors that require work with human capital management, program management, acquisition support services, and consulting services. Sorry, that wasn't even a question. This one is this program geared specifically for women?
Hey, I can jump in on that. The overall program is not geared specifically for women, and frankly, it's not geared for any one group, if you would call it that. However, what Jen mentioned before, the applications, once we select a partner and a small business that needs funding is open, the application will be open for any business. However, we do hope that the primary purpose of this is to focus on and provide funding and capital for those businesses and entrepreneurs that are historically marginalized or traditionally just lack opportunity to find capital and affordable capital, right? I will also say that the professional services that we hope that Adrina spoke about on the Mwbe certified firm side, you know, an Mwbe, the W stands for woman-owned business. So we do hope that as part of that goals determination process, the 10% goals that are assigned, we do anticipate that either women or minority-owned firms would be a part of that partnership as well. But we definitely encourage women-owned firms and entrepreneurs to apply once Again, this RFQ is seeking that partner that we will contract with to set up the fund and set up the program. Once the program is set up, then we do hope that a lot of women-owned businesses and entrepreneurs will apply for the funding, yes.
Thank you, Matthew. How much of the funds can be used for programming and TA, and how much for lending? Is there a cap of dollars or percentage that can be used for those complementary services?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do not have a cap on those dollar amounts, but when I first started speaking, I did reiterate that we hope this to be a sustainable program, a revolving program. So we expect to see more of the money going toward the actual funding disbursements, grants, or sorry, loans, private equity, those types of funding mechanisms. We do anticipate that a majority of the funding will go toward that, but we did want to make sure that we used our dollars wisely, and we noted the importance of the professional services and technical assistance. So it's up to the funder to put together their best budget forecast for this program. There's no capped amount, but we do want to make sure it's sustainable. We don't want to give all of the money away in services, and it doesn't leave enough to keep this program revolving and keep it sustainable.
How do you imagine the administrator partner would be compensated? Percentage of AUM, of investments made, of ROI?
I'll try to tackle that, Deborah. I don't know if you or Michael are on and want to add to it. What I will say is we are looking for creative solutions. The reason we're putting out an RFQ, request for qualifications, is we are not the experts in this space. We understand that hopefully trying to reach the entrepreneurs and small businesses that we're trying to reach, trying to put more money into professional services to help build that pipeline and help in that capital readiness and the growth stages of these businesses. And equally as important, we understand that we as a city would like to see, it's not required, but these are examples of things we might want to see, is below market interest rates, creative collateralization items, all those areas where we hear are barriers to capital and barriers to affordable capital. We are willing to put up some of our money to help fund some of that risk, right, and some of that loss. So we don't really have a cap on those items. We are looking for this partner to get creative and try to figure out and tell us as part of their budget submittal what they feel is the best proposal of how this product, or sorry, not the product, how this program can not only be successful, but also be sustainable. Deborah, anything else to add on that?
Yeah, I think you answered it perfectly, Matthew. And that's the reason why we're coming into this space with an RFQ rather than an RFP, just so that we can ask for input in those areas. So we would expect you to present some proposal in your responses, and so that we can consider it and have further conversations about it.
Is this program for selection of only one grantee?
It is not guaranteed that only one vendor will win the award. I think it depends on the types of, frankly, it goes through the evaluation committee, and it depends on the types of investment products and other funding mechanisms that we see, and the partnerships that those vendors come with. So although it is the anticipation that we select one partner and one vendor on these contracts, it's not guaranteed that it's only one.
Yeah, the only thing I would add, Matthew, is that any contract that we do that exceeds over 500,000 does have to go to our city council for approval. So that will be part of this process that as we move forward as well.
Is the Mwbe agreement for all contractors of the organization, or just for this project?
Yeah, I saw that question in the chat. I'm not quite sure what they mean by that question, but just to reiterate, the Mwbe 10% participation goal is for the entire contract. And that is to be utilized with certified MWBEs that are certified with the City and County of Denver. And that essentially will be tracking the MWBE firms that you bring on to partner with you to provide those wraparound services like marketing, training, so on and so forth. That participation does not count towards necessarily the firms that you're actually assisting once they receive the funding. So if you want to, if I didn't answer your question, feel free to drop it back in the chat.
Thank you, Adrina. Next question, is the goal here to loan, invest funds, but also pay for their wraparound services? I'm seeing multiple parts. If the fund is paying for wraparound services, only a percentage of the funds will be coming back into the fund. So the funds will continually be depleted.
Yes, we anticipate that our funding, the $5 million a year for 5 years, and depending on how much we get in sales tax revenue, but let's just assume it's a $25 million program. We do anticipate a portion of that $25 million will be set aside for those professional services and technical assistance. We also recognize a percentage of those will be for admin and incentives and operating expenses. And then the rest, and hopefully enough to make it sustainable, the rest will be part of the funding element, whether that's loans or whatever other investment product that the experts will come with.
Who do you foresee would be the main vendor over the program?
You're on mute, Deborah.
I think that's the purpose of releasing the RFQ is to find that partner. So we're not coming at this with any predisposed ideas of who that ideal partner is, and we're just hoping for some good synergy and maybe folks that are on this event today can come together and partner. I do think we probably should have mentioned as we began the questions section that we're going to do our best to respond to your questions today. You may throw us some curveballs that we might not be able to respond to, but if we do have to go back and have some internal conversations, just know that responses will be posted in the addendum, and our responses today shouldn't be considered the official or final response. The official or final response will be what we release in that addendum.
Yeah, thank you for that, Deborah. And I'll reiterate that the primary purpose of this is to provide capital, right, to small businesses and entrepreneurs. So whoever that partner is should have some experience in providing capital to small businesses, whatever route that is or whatever type of investment product that is.
Will the small businesses receiving funding have to have these certifications? Do nonprofits need to be Wnbe certified?
Go ahead, Adrina.
Yeah, so those are two separate questions that I want to answer separately. Will the small businesses receiving the funding have to have these certifications? The answer is no. Quite literally, anyone or any business that will be receiving these funds that need technical assistance or professional services would be privy to the services provided under this project. So no, because it could be a restaurant or it could be a retailer or so on and so forth. No, they do not need to be certified.
Adrina, can I jump in on that real quick?
Yes.
I apologize. It is possible that any business or entrepreneur needing funding does not have to receive professional services technical assistance. This could be a very traditional access to capital. They come in for a whatever funding is provided in the form of loans or grants or whatever else. They may not need those technical services or professional services. This will be, and whatever partner we choose, we will set expectations, but I don't believe we're going to set large limitations on who can apply. Almost any business, depending on size and things like that, but almost any business should be able to apply for these funds. They do not have to be certified MWBE firms. Almost any business, within reason, can probably apply for these funds. Sorry, go ahead, Adrina.
No, that's a perfect add-on. And then to the second question, do nonprofits need to be Mwbe certified? Unfortunately, nonprofits cannot be Mwbe certified. So that's why we added that additional piece there that says consultants, nonprofits, and certified small businesses should all be looking to partner with one another. We would love to have a diverse group of all three of those come together to propose on these projects. And again, nonprofits cannot be Mwbe certified, only for-profits, but we are looking for nonprofits and certified businesses to work together and to provide all of these amazing resources for businesses that need it.
What needs to be included in the financial section, and can we use a fiscal sponsor?
I would say just read through the RFQ documents to see exactly what you should respond to. Off the top of my head, I don't have it, and frankly, it'll be different, I think, for each respondent. We do want to make sure that that this person or the fiscal sponsor would have expertise in, small business, either lending or investment products, and have operating and administrative capabilities on that end. But as far as everything else, read through the RFQ and just make sure that you you read through all the different elements of what we're looking for in the proposal. What I would say is I believe fiscal sponsor would be allowed as long as this person, and remember, this is going to be scored, it's not disallowed, but we need to make sure that it is someone who has experience or it has the capability, whether it's this firm or a fiscal sponsor, to administer the entire program, to both operationally and administratively.
What businesses are more likely to gain access to these funds?
Deborah, any thoughts on that one?
Well, I hope we've made clear that our focus for this program will be small businesses who have traditionally had barriers to accessing capital and resources. So that's why it's going to be so important for whoever applies for this program to administer it, to demonstrate that they have the partnerships in place to be able to reach the businesses that we want to benefit from this fund.
Does this funding support work towards a nonprofit that is owned by a minority woman and also a non-minority male? We are co-founders of the 501c3 nonprofit. We work within the juvenile justice system, but intend to use this funding towards social enterprise for at-risk youth.
I think we're going to have to defer answering this and take that question back internally. I mean, I think our vision for this program is larger than, social enterprises focusing on a narrow population group. I mean, we really want to serve a broad base of small businesses and entrepreneurs in Denver, but we will more broadly respond to that question when we issue the addendum.
Are the investment decisions at the sole discretion of the fund manager?
Deborah? Yes and no, and we can probably answer that a little bit more clearly in the addendum. Short answer is whoever the partner is, based on the parameters that we've already set in the in the negotiations in the scope of work, the investments or loans or whatever type of product they come up with are at the sole discretion of the administrator. However, when we negotiate, when we select a partner, all of that hopefully will come out in the RFQ application and also in the negotiations. We obviously through the outcomes and some of the parameters, we'll set up basic parameters of the program during those negotiations. But once the contract is set, we do anticipate that the vendor that we select will have full discretion of their investment criteria or funding criteria.
Is this RFQ related to the one released in January that received no responses? And if so, what has changed between the two RFQs?
maybe I can respond to that. I think the one in January related to some American Rescue Act resources that we were seeking a partner to deploy. So how this differs from that is that was strictly intended to be a grant program to support additional COVID recovery, help small businesses who continue to be impacted from COVID. So that's the difference between this. This is intended to be an ongoing revolving sustainable fund versus the what we recall to our Business Impact Opportunity Program, which is and will be focused on additional COVID recovery.
What are the reporting requirements?
Good question. We don't have those parameters set yet. We will set those parameters depending on the partner that we choose and the vendor that we choose and during the negotiations. But if you look back to a couple of slides that we put on some of the outcomes we're expecting, you know, we at a very minimum, those aren't an exhaustive list, and they're also not inclusive of what must be shown, but those just give you an idea of the types of things as a city that we would want to see come out of this, right? We would obviously want to see how much money is going out the door, what kind of return we're getting, you know, if it's a loan, any delinquency items or issues, the types of businesses and locations that are being funded, you know, those types of things that you would traditionally see in a typical investment or loan portfolio. And then obviously because of the outcomes we want to see and the types of businesses we want to support in this program, we may add a couple of other community type reporting outcomes based on logistics and things like that. But to be determined. Go back to a couple of slides. You'll see the outcomes that we're hoping for. Again, those aren't exhaustive, and they're also not ones that every single one has to be met. But we will publish this. Look through it. These are just desired outcomes, typical outcomes that we would expect to see. But as we negotiate with the selected vendor, that's when we'll really dig into what specific outcomes and reporting metrics we need.
And those outcomes are included in the RFQ as well.
Okay, this next question is just regarding the list of people who are on this call today. I'm pretty sure Janae went over that. I'm not sure what date you said. When will they get a list? I think Chelsea was going to release that. So you will get a list, so you don't have to copy it on here.
Yes, we will be sending that information out on March 11th.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are partnerships across funders and TA providers encouraged?
Yes.
Yes.
Short answer. What if the contract goes to an Mwbe firm? Does that mean it is 100%?
No, short answer. If the contract goes to an Mwbe firm and the Mwbe firm is quite literally doing all of the work with no sub-consultants, then yes, it would be 100%. But from my understanding, that isn't necessarily what the desired outcome would be for this type of a project. The only participation that would count would be the work that the Mwbe is actually doing and certified to do.
As organizations and businesses submit their RFQs, will DIDO put together a group of vendors in order to fulfill this program?
I might need a little more clarification on that question. We anticipate selecting one vendor who will then partner with those other groups that we mentioned. However, it is possible that a couple of different vendors all have great ideas, all in different areas of investment products. And it's very possible the evaluation committee recommends going with more than one vendor. If that didn't answer it, please respond and we can hopefully get clarification on what else you might mean.
Does DIDO have a preference of or a preconceived notion of the proportions of loans to investments or grants that would be made?
No.
We don't. We again hope that this is somewhat sustainable. So, we likely would not want to see 50% of the funding going toward grants and the rest covering admin and operating and then a small amount left for loans or other investments. But it is the proposer's discretion. Just know that all of what we talked about is very important. The partnerships are extremely important, but this is a sustainable investment fund that we plan on funding for 8 to 10 years, but we hope it goes much longer than that based on the investment products out there.
Given requirement for program sustainability, what is the department's expectations of repayment of loans made by the fund? No repayment or granting of funds does not equate to a sustainable program.
Yeah, hopefully what I just reiterated helps answer that. We are not the experts in this space. We are asking for qualifications for experts to respond to this. But we do hope, and I get, I understand that eventually over time this may dwindle a little bit because of the professional services and everything else in there, but we do want to make sure that the focus of this is access to capital for small businesses. The primary focus is not a grant program. It is also not on the professional services side. That is a huge component from a partnership standpoint, but we do want to reiterate that the main purpose of this is to make sure it is a access to capital program, and that capital hopefully is in the terms of some sort of revolving investment.
Will the recipients of this funding through your partnerships be available to for-profit businesses?
Yes.
Okay, I think that is all the questions we have at this point. One more, actually. What businesses are more likely to gain access to these funds? And what types of businesses?
We're at this point, and we haven't, addressed this in the RFQ. I mean, we're open for, and I'm answering this as if what kind of businesses will be eligible to apply to benefit from the fund, not necessarily the partner organization. But we're not coming at that with any industry eligibility requirements at this point in terms of what industries can and cannot apply. I mean, that will be, I assume, part of our conversations with the selected partner as to whether or not there need to be parameters around that. But from an industry standpoint, we're not coming at that with any preconceived notions about what industries can and can't apply.
The only thing I will add to that is it must be a Denver-based business. These are City of Denver funds, and it needs to be a Denver-based business that will be eligible for the funding.
And expected to operate in Denver.
Okay, and this one is, can we please get a list with email addresses of all the people on this call before March 11th, as was stated a few minutes ago? Janae, I can have that done today, so that would be up to you. I don't know how we're sending these out.
Okay, perfect. Well, we will definitely work on getting that information out before March 11th. Eric will work together after this meeting to get that finalized.
Sounds great.
And just to reiterate, you can continue to submit questions up until 4 p.m. on March the 7th. The email address to submit questions is included in the RFQ, and hopefully you'll get it. You've got it in the chat today as to where to respond to send additional questions to. Know that the official responses to all your questions, including those we've answered today and those we receive via email, they will be posted in an addendum, which will be released on March the 11th at 4 p.m. But the deadline for us to get any questions in is March the 7th at 4 p.m.
Thank you. And can businesses from the cannabis industry apply?
Apply for the, I'm assuming the question is apply for the funding that will be made available through this fund. And my response today is yes, because these are general fund dollars. They are not federal dollars. But we will check with legal counsel on that and provide the official response in the addendum.
And to be honest, it may depend on who is the final selected vendor, through this. We don't have all the expertise on that. These are city dollars, so there's no restrictions that we can tell of that we know of, but the vendor the partner that we select for this may have other restrictions that we don't know about. So more to come on that. I'm not sure if we'll be able to answer that specifically right now. I think it really depends on who we partner with.
Good point, Matthew.
So without inundating you with inquiries, will we have direct access to any of you after this forum leading up to March 7th? That is not via email or portal?
No, unfortunately, any discussions around this, because this is a open public procurement, we are not able to speak with anybody directly about this program. Any questions have to go through that inbox or that email address that we mentioned earlier, and Janae Lewis, our contract administrator, will get the right person to answer that question. But unfortunately, just with city procurement policy, none of us on this call, or frankly anyone at the city, are allowed to talk specifically about this program because it's an open procurement.
Now, if you are having any technical challenges with the application portal itself, we can assist with those, but any content questions related to the RFQ, we can't individually engage with you on that.
All right, that's all the questions I have for now.
Awesome. Well, I think we can close it out. What we had mentioned is Eric is going to keep this live stream open until 4:30, and then we'll close it down just in case any of you think of something, a question or something else you want answered, or maybe somebody stepped away, they come back. It'll be open for anybody for the next 20 minutes or 25 minutes. After that, remember, please ask any of your questions to that email address, DEDO RFQ at denvergov.org. Submit them by March 7th, and we will be on standby to receive those questions and answer them by the 11th.
Thanks,
we
everyone.
really appreciate all the attendees. This is great. We looked for some great responses, and we really appreciate the time you all spent. Thank you.